What's up, nerds? Welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm actually super excited for today's video. I don't know, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit of a controversial one, but it's gonna be fun and fresh, and I don't even care. Anyway, as you guys have the title, we'll be talking about 15 popular books I will never read. You will not catch me reading, ever. Okay, there are like two that I was like, okay, I could be convinced, but the rest of them were like, never. Won't do it. So, anyway, I'm super excited about it. First, if you guys like this video, if you guys like talking about all the juicy tea, if you guys like talking about popular books, if you guys like having an unpopular opinion, then definitely give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and without further ado, let's just get started. I just filmed this look over on my makeup channel, and I'm addicted, and I just can't, no, I'm just kidding. And I love it, so if you are not subscribed to my makeup channel, I don't know what you're doing, but this look is bomb. Anyway, like I was saying, we have 15 books here. These are books that I've know are talked about, I've heard about a lot about before. For one reason or another, they have not gotten on my TBR. They've never even been on my radar, but like now, I know that I will never read them. I've had the opportunity to buy them. I've seen them in store. Obviously, I have Amazon. Like, I could get them, I just never will. And so again, yes, we're gonna break some hearts. And I'm sorry if you've any of these books you're like, oh, I really wish Marissa read. I'm sorry. Between you and me, I'm genuinely sorry, but I can't do it, and I will not force myself to read a book I really don't want to read. I will tell you too if it's one that I could be convinced. I will tell you, but it's not a lot, so don't get your hopes up really high. Alright, so we're gonna pop in some pictures. I'm gonna scoot on over. I think I said this in like my last video too, but don't you guys love this? I love it so much. It's so cute. Alright. Book number 1. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Honestly, I have a couple like thrillers. I have one other, I think, thriller, whatever it's called. I don't know. But for the most part, this just goes without saying, I don't read thrillers, I don't read mystery, I don't read anything like that. I don't like them. They scare me, so I will never read them unless they're like the YA. I don't know. Even then, I don't want to know. Like, so the only reason why I'm saying unless they're YA, which is not true, it's only because I've reading the Natural series, but I don't even know what you would call that, like mystery, I don't know. Like, I'll read that, like, it's giving Clue, where it's very, like, childish and, like, very, like, it's not that deep. I'll read those, but, even then, like, I'm not gonna read, like, those murder books, like, even if they're YA, you know what I mean? Like, I just get scared really easily. I was watching Criminal Minds for a lot. I've watched Criminal Minds a lot when I was, like, a while ago. I don't know, like, when I was in high school, college, and so I'm a little bit scarred to death, so I just don't read anything horror, scary, spooky, anything like that, and this is obviously giving that, so I don't want to read that, but again, it goes without saying, I'm not going to mention not every single book is going to be a thriller or mystery, because I'm never reading any of them, you know what I mean. So yeah, it's giving no. The next one is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. The second one just came out too, and my friend just read this one. She just bought the second one, and it's just it's not gonna be me. I'm not gonna do it, and I know people are like, this one's probably hurting a lot of souls, but it's like, why am I gonna set myself up to be like gutted? I'm not gonna do it. I read books to be happy. I'm not gonna read them so that they can just kill me on the inside. Like, it's not happening. And so I know people like to be sad, and I don't know why, but I'm not gonna do it. I won't do it, and so I'm not gonna do it. And so you kind of get, just by obviously If He Had Been With Me, but also just by the way people talk about it, you kind of understand what's happening in this book, even if you don't read it. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna put myself through it. I'm just not. Alright, this is another one that I'm not going to pick every single Colleen Hoover book, but I will never be reading Colleen Hoover again. I won't. So this one is just reminders of him. I just picked the first one I saw. I did read one book, It Ends With Us, and oh my gosh, like, I've never been more I was floored. Like, I was so mad the way it ended, and I know, whatever. People like toxic stuff. People like that. You know what? You do you. I'm not that kind of person. I won't do it. In the sense of, I don't want toxic in the sense of, I don't know how to explain it. Like, if you guys have not read this book, I'll just be the one to tell you that basically he hits his wife. So you get this super cute love story between these two people, and then he ends up hitting her, and then you know, she gets away from him, blah, 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 and then it ends up being like a super happy, fun story because she ends up with this guy from her childhood. It was just like, what is happening? Like, why did I just read this? And why did you tell me that it was a romance? Because it's not a romance. Like, that's traumatic. I don't want to read that. Okay? That's all I'll say. So, anyway, that really made me mad, and I just don't read Colleen Hoover. I don't care what other version of any other book she has. I just won't do it, and so it's up here, and I need to tell you guys that. So don't recommend me any Colleen Hoover books. I won't do it. I'm not. I don't care how good they are or whatever's new. I just won't do it. And then also, like, I know Colleen Hoover's in other drama too that I'm like, I don't need that in my life. Like, I don't need that on this channel. So I won't do it, and we're just going to avoid and conquer. Yeah? Oh. I will never read A Little Life by, I don't know how to say her name, Hanya Yanagihara. I don't know how to say that, but another one that I've heard that it is horribly sad and just rips your heart out. So why would I put myself through that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and I won't do it. So, again, just letting you guys know I won't be reading this book. It's also, like, massive from what I've seen, and so I'm like, it's a really long book. It's super sad. It's not giving. It's not giving at all what I want it to give. So, I won't be reading that. Sorry if you want to read it. This is the one too that I see so many people. I have seen very few people actually read this book. I've seen it on a bajillion TBRs, and it just sits there over and over and over again because people are like, it's so sad, I don't want to read it. I'm like, that's exactly what would happen if I put it on my shelf. I honestly know nothing about it, like literally zero anything about it. I just know that it's sad and I'm not doing it. But it literally sits on people's shelves, and that's exactly what would happen on my shelf. It would just sit there, and so then I would have to just be like, okay, well, you know. Okay, sorry. So there's that. Oh, this is the other, like, horror, mystery, thriller, I don't know, whatever it is. This is Lisa Jewell. None of this is true. This is another very popular one. This is by Lisa Jewell, duh. Another one, again, it's like, I just don't read horror, mystery, thriller. I just won't do it. I can't. And I honestly was thinking about this today, though, because I was looking at someone's bookshelves, and they were like, she had, like, literally, it was like a whole library. She had so many books, and I'm like, thank God I don't love more than a handful of genres. Like, I really, basically, even variations of romance, but I read romance and fantasy. Like, literally variations of each, but that's really it. I don't really stray out of that too much. So, like, thank God, because my shelves would be through the roof. And I honestly, again, I don't want to, like, you know, read about some guy who, like, you know, was stalking someone, or like someone's dead, or you know, you're reading a book about nothing that's true. Like, I don't want that. So I don't know. So, and again, I know people like really like that kind of stuff, and people like horror movies. It's just not me. I don't even watch horror movies. I don't like them. I've watched a handful, and I will never do it again. I just won't. Oh gosh, this is the book that kind of inspired this video. You guys are like, what, Marissa? This is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Now, this has been a popular book for a while because when I first started my YouTube channel, it was one that was, like, on my radar a little bit. But every time I looked at it, it just was not, like, I was just like, okay, and I just was never drawn to it. And then my friend actually bought it and was gonna read it, and then she returned it because she said it was boring. And so, not that, she's not as a big reader as I am, so there are definitely some books that I've read that I'm sure she would say is boring as well, but, like, I don't know, it just put me off, and, like, I've heard people love it, but I also heard that it's a little bit sad. I don't know, it just was not, again, not giving what I wanted to give, and so I'm not going to force myself, and this is one that I probably won't be convinced to buy. I will never feel like I have the need to read it. I don't think I would fit it in a video or, like, anything like that, because I feel like this is one that will get pushed to the side as more and more new books come out, and so I don't feel like I need to read this. I do want to read Christina Lauren, because I think that's 2 authors, at some point, but I just don't want to read this book. I have no desire, and I was thinking about that the other day. I was kind of like, I really really don't want to read that book. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that would be a great video. Books I will never read. And so I will never read this one again. And this one's and not for, this one doesn't have a really good reason. It's just kind of like, just because, but like, I just don't want it. It's cute, whatever. It's just not like for me. It doesn't look like it's for me. I don't know. Oh. We're really doing it in this video. You will never catch me reading Magnolia Parks. Daisy hates you will never catch me. Never. And you want to know why I will never? Because I read Never. Never by Jessica Hastings. So honestly, Magnolia Parks was never on my radar. From the jump, I, all of the YouTubers were talking about it. Well, mostly Sarah Crowley, I believe. It's like her favorite, whatever. But everyone just describes it as like very toxic, very like, just like, I think they said Gossip Girl, but like essentially like just like gossip and very like, I don't know, like not for me. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I would never read that, and I don't know why people want to read that. Like, I want to get out of this world. I don't want to dive deeper into this society, and that's giving, like, what people are like now, like Mean Girl, like, like, I don't know. So I have no desire to read it, so that was from the jump. But then I was like, okay, I want to try Jessica Hastings' writing, I wanted to try Jessica Hastings' writing at some point, and so I obviously didn't want to read that series. So when Never came out, I was like, oh, perfect. Hopefully, like, if I like her writing enough, I'll read Magnolia Parks. I can convince myself to. That had the opposite effect, y'all. The opposite effect. Because Never ended in the most stupid, dumbest way possible. And I know people who are even Magnolia Parks fans that don't like that book, but I'm like, honestly, I don't know how you like one and not the other, because I think that the way you explain Magnolia Parks is the exact way she wrote Never. Like, it's giving toxic and not okay. So anyway, I won't be reading Magnolia Parks ever, and I don't want that kind of negativity in my life. Like, even just looking at the cover, you're like, are we 3? Are we children? I don't know. I don't know. All right, sorry. All right, next one is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So this one, again, is super, super popular. I believe it's dark academia. And this one, the reason why I won't read it, I think it was... First of all, I think this is the book. If it's not the book, then this book is getting the fall for whatever book it was. And I won't be reading it. But I believe Destiny Sidwell was reading this book in a vlog and DNF'd it because she said it was like really psycho, like really like the wherever they were, like was really crazy, and like a lot of trigger warnings, she said. And again, like I've read books with like trigger warnings and that kind of stuff. Like it's not like, I don't know why I quoted that, but like with trigger warnings and stuff. And so it's not like I have like this long list of things that will trigger me at all, but like the way she described it was just not, it was just like it put me off genuinely. And so this book was another one that was on my radar for a little bit. I was like, oh, I could do a dark academia video, but this one was just like the way she described it. I believe this is the one she DNF'd, and so I was like, I don't know about that. I'm not gonna read it. So that one again is on the no list. Even if it's not literally like that, it's just in my head now. Dark academia is not really for me, and that's okay. That is okay. Okay, this one was also in that video, but I thought she liked this one. So this is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Now this one, the only reason why I won't read this one, and I love Leigh Bardugo, she wrote, where is it? The Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I really like that trilogy. Not a favorite, but like I would, if it was going by author, this is one that I would add to my list. But because it's not only about who she is, it's about what she's writing, and so I won't read this one because the second book is the one, it's Hellbent with the scary bunny that's like dead, and I'm like, that is not okay to me. And I'm like, not that because it's a dead bunny, but because it's obviously a little bit more psychotic. That's all. I'll just say that. It's a little bit psychotic, and I don't like that. And it's giving a psycho, so I don't want that. I'm not going to read it because I know I won't read the second book. So I'm like, why read the first one? Also, I thought Destiny liked this book, but I can't remember her loving it. I don't know, but I believe what's her name, Heather McLary, like loves this series or something like that. And so that's why I was like kind of again on my radar, like, do I read it? But then I saw the second book and I was like, no, I don't want that on my shelves. I don't want that. We're not doing it. So that is why I won't read that series. It is such a stupid thing, but like in my head, it's on the hit list. It's on the no list. It's like, no, we're not doing it. So, and there's a lot of, again, it's a lot of those things that are like mentally, it's like whether, you know, I've read a story like it, because I've heard there are a couple books that are like Love in Other Words, or like people will describe them as similar, that I'm sure I've read, but like, I don't care. It's just in my head as I will never be reading that book, no matter how popular it gets. Okay, this is one of the ones that I could be convinced. This is Cersei by Madeline Miller. So this was a Goodreads Choice Award winner, but I was gonna do a video with reading Goodreads Choice Award winners, and I was gonna read this book, which I did do that video, but I didn't read this book. I was gonna read this book, get this book, and I could still get it from Book of the Month for like, I don't know, cheap, whatever. I go back and forth with this book. This is one I was like, okay, I will talk about it, but I don't know for sure if I won't ever read it. You might be able to convince me if it's really good, but I think this is also dark academia, number one. Number two, the way this is gonna sound crazy, but the way they described this author is like, when they put it in like the Book of the Month, they put like fun things about the book, and they just put feminist. And so I'm like, what does that mean as far as like the book goes? And so I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna like be like this girl, about like a girl who's like just the girl. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's romance. I don't know if it's gonna be like, you know, they hate men, or like what it is. And so I was like, I don't know. I don't want the politics. I don't want that in my reading. I don't want that in my when I'm looking for a book. Like, so I was kind of like, instead of being like, oh great, she's a feminist, I'm gonna read this, it was kind of like the opposite. Like, why did you need to promote that? Because what does that mean for the book? I don't know. So like, I don't know. So it's also really big. This is another one that sits on a lot of people's TBR cards that they always say they're going to read, but then they never read. So I'm also like, I don't know if I will read it either. So I just, right now, it's like, you guys let me know what that means. What it means that they needed to promote. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about this book specifically. Oh gosh, I will never read this book. This is Jeanette McCurdy, I'm Glad My Mom Died. First of all, I don't like reading. I don't want to read about people's lives that are like, you know, celebrities and stuff like that. I just don't like, and I like the fiction stories, obviously, but I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about like people's true stories. First of all, a lot of people don't even rate them because it's someone's true life, so it's true. Like, how can you rate that? And so I'm like, it's just like, I don't know, but also like, I'm glad my mom died. I know that a lot of what it is that, you know, her mom was like, just ended up being like, I don't want to say evil, but ended up being like very toxic toward her. And I could see that, whatever. But like, just the idea of I'm glad my mom died is not, it's not something that I would want to read or want to like talk about on my channel, or like, you know, like something like that. Like, I'm like, again, I get it. Like, if I had that mom, like, I'm sure I would have been thinking the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. And obviously I don't know exactly what she says because I didn't read the book, but like, I get it. But I'm like, also, it's not something like I would want to promote or like be like, I don't know. It's hard. It's a fine line, I should say, and I just wouldn't want to read it. So again, I don't want to read about people's lives in general, so I probably will never read any kind of book like that ever in general. I don't know if it's technically a memoir, because Jeanette McCurdy is alive. I don't know what kind of genre it would be, just like nonfiction. I don't know, but I don't read nonfiction either. Just so you know, but I don't know. You can't convince me to read it, but you can convince me to have a different perspective toward it probably, but I still won't read it, if that makes sense. Oh gosh. Okay, next we have, this is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I know what you're thinking, like, wait, Marissa, didn't you read that? I started to read this and I was floored. No. Hard pass. So I basically will never read another Carly Fortune book. I just don't. So this first book, Every Summer After, the girl literally cheats on the guy. And so if you're calling this a romance, that means that she gets back together with him, or if he's the main guy and she's the main girl, then obviously they get back together, or something happens that, like, whatever. But basically when you're reading this book, it just justifies cheating. I'm like, that's not okay. Like, not justifies it, but kind of doesn't give it the disgust that it deserves. And I know, like, everybody makes mistakes, you know, like, you know, we forgive, and I understand that, but I don't want to read that in my book. Like, this is a fiction book. It's not something that I want to, like, it's just not, I don't know, like, why would anyone want to read the cheating trope? I don't know. It's not okay. And so I get it, you know, some people, again, like that toxic, like to read about it, blah, 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 blah. It's not me, and I won't do it, and that's not okay. And I would never write that in a book. And it needs to be, like, known that that is the cheating trope. So if you hate it, do not read that book. And so I just won't be reading Carly Fortune. Again, I feel like it was a little misleading, if you will, the book in general. And so, whatever. I was kind of talking to my friends. We read this all together on vacation, and my one friend finished it. Me and my other friend didn't finish it, but she was just kind of saying, like, I was just trying to tell them, I was like, there's no way that it's cheating, because if they get back together on the end, there's no way it's cheating. Like, no author ever does that. And then my friend finished it. She's like, yeah, that's cheating. And I said, oh, yeah, hard pass. No, thank you. Thank you. Next. I won't be reading that, and I probably won't, and I definitely won't read any other Carly Fortune book. It's just, like, it's kind of like Colleen Hoover, where it's just on a no list. It's like, I don't need to read her books. There's not any that I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wish I could read that. And then it's also like, I just don't want to, like, even if I read all for other books, it'd be like, I recommend this one book and not the rest of them. It's kind of like, whatever. So I'm just gonna not do it with that author. I'm sorry. All right. This is another one. This one I could be convinced, or I probably might read in a year or so. I don't know. Maybe next year. I don't know. This is Shatter Me, by Tahiri Mafi, I don't know her name. But you guys know the whole Shatter Me series is just super, super popular. I do feel like there are a lot more popular series now, and I feel like that's the thing with this Shatter Me series, is that I don't want to spend however long reading this entire long series, and then there be new stuff that people are talking about, people are loving, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say waste my time, but waste my time. I don't want to. Although it is interesting, I believe she can't, like, be touched, or, like, she, I don't know, kills people with her, I don't know, her skin, I don't know, something like that, which it was, like, super interesting, and, like, wow, it sounded cool, but, like, also, I believe it's YA, and so I'm like, YA series are hit or miss for me, and it's not something that, I know it's not something that I'm gonna be, like, maybe I would be obsessed with it, I don't know, I just don't feel the desire to read it right now. And so this one, again, I could be convinced, but it definitely will not be this year. Or anytime soon, I should say. Alright, 2 more. Alright, next we have another hot one. Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I will not read these books. Another YA series that's just high school drama, and people are obsessed. They're like, they love it. And I'm like, why? Why? You know what? If you love it, you do you, boo. I'm getting, like, cold. You do you, boo. To each their own. Obviously, we all have our own tastes. But this series is just so... a lot of people are reading it now because I think she did the covers, which the old covers, I think, were super ugly. I can't remember. Anyway, I just won't read it. I'm just not a fan. They're super, super thick, and I'm like, you really want to read, like, 600 pages of high school drama? No. I think it is romance, so I think that's why obviously people like it, but I'm just like, it's not for me. Again, a lot of people really, really love YA books, and I just can't, you know, I like YA. I don't love it the way some people do. Like, and I just will not sign myself up. Sorry. I just will not sign myself up for the teenage drama. I won't do it. So it's a hard pass for me. Won't be reading that series, and I'm okay finally admitting that. You know, a lot of these too, you try to convince yourself, you're like, well, they're popular, so maybe I should just do it for the vine. Do it for the vine. Do it for the YouTube video. But, I can't, and so now I'm doing it for the YouTube video, and I'm telling you that I will not be reading this. So now we're all on the same page, and we all know the drill. Alright, last but not least, this is The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I was torn between this one and there's a book too from Rebecca Ross. I feel like for authors, those two authors specifically, I should say, Rebecca Ross and Rebecca Yarros, they are very, like, I love Fourth Wing so much. And I love Divine Rivals so much. Like, they were incredible 5 bajillion stars books, like definitely the standard for some, like for a lot of books that are similar to them. And so those books were just incredible. But because these authors didn't write fantasy as their backlist, it's not, don't have like fantasy backlist, they're all like romance or just different genres. It's not something that I will go back and read. Honestly, that's the same for Catherine Center as well. She has, like, she writes these fun, corny, cheesy, rom-com-y kind of books, and then some of her old books are not like that. They're a little bit more serious, a little bit more, I think, like, I don't want to say mature, but like a little bit more serious. And so I tried to read one Rebecca Yarros book, actually, that was from, again, her backlist, and I just couldn't get into it. I just was like, no. And then it kind of like put her on the weird list in my brain of authors, and so I was like, wait, no, I don't want that, because I love the Fourth Wing so much. And so I just don't think it's like, for in that specific situation where I love a specific genre from an author, going to their backlist and reading what else they have is not something I would do. Again, Emily Henry's also like that. Like, I like a few of her books that are newer. I don't want to go back and read her old books. Like, it's just not for me. I think that's just, the situation is not that. Not that I don't really like reading authors' backlists, don't get me wrong, but authors' backlists that are different genres than the one that I got into, if that makes sense. But this is the last letter specifically by Rebecca Yarros. I won't read it. And then she has a bunch of other ones that I won't read. I know a lot of people love them, but I'm just like, I like your fantasy era, girl. I like your fantasy era, so let me stick with that. I tried to go back and I couldn't do it. But again, same with all those other authors I mentioned. And yeah, that's all 15. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 15 books that 15 popular books that I will not be reading. And honestly, I'm sure I could probably do like a part 2 to this video, not gonna lie, but I have to like think, like, as I go out book shopping and I pass the book, I'm like, oh yeah, no, like, there are definitely some books that I will not read. There are other books that too I just don't know nearly not enough about to talk about. I'm thinking about doing a video reading books that are not popular, that I've never heard anything about, because again, I feel like it's fun to kind of read books blind, not knowing what everyone basically influences you to know. But I just feel like it's just, it could be fun. I obviously, I love making YouTube videos, and I love, again, being an influencer. I love influencing. I love giving my opinion, I should say. Not necessarily influencing. I love giving my opinion, sharing my thoughts and opinions with you guys. Whether you take my advice or not, that's on you, obviously. That's your choice, 100%. But I love to share my opinion and stuff, and so I respect other people who do that as well, obviously. And I'm not going to say anyone here who recommends these books that I hate are like, I'm not going to knock them in any way, shape, or form. I just think everyone is different, and that's what I love about this. I love about YouTube in general and platforms where you can share your opinion, is that everyone's opinion is different, and I love that so much. This video is way longer than I needed it to be, but whatever. But I do love that so much, and so I think that that's something just to keep in mind. It's like, if you want me to read all of these books, and you're like, wait, if you're never going to read these books, then I don't want to really watch videos, that's completely fine. There's someone out there who loves those books and will recommend them and talk about them till they're blue in the face. They're out there, so you go find them, girl. You make your own YouTube channel and you spread the good news. Go ahead. You do you. But those are definitely books that I will not be reading. So if you were disappointed in any way, I'm so sorry, but I had to share them. I had to. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, nerds.